Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. A few days ago I published a rather lengthy video highlighting what honestly is probably the most bizarre interaction I've ever had with any XRP community member ever. And hopefully I never have anything like that ever quite again. If you watch the video, you already know what I'm talking about, and I don't really want to rehash a whole bunch of that stuff. I think I've said what I need to say on that. But this particular individual in question is one of the co-founders of Evernode, seeking to build smart contract-based applications on the XRP ledger, but as you well know, there is no Layer 1 smart contract functionality, and that's been something that not exactly, many developers aren't exactly happy about. But there's the Hooks Amendment. There's the Hooks Amendment that's been around for a couple years, and it's, now, mind you, it hasn't been applied to the mainnet. But if it were, that would provide smart contract functionality on Layer 1 of the XRP ledger, and there are developers out there that want that. And then there are some others in the community that think that perhaps it's not worth making the change for various reasons, this and that. And I'm going to stay away from that particular argument just for the purposes of this video. Because, look, what I highlighted in my video where I was covering this bizarre behavior a few days ago, I said, look, and I stand by this, I said, this doesn't mean that this network, the Xahau network, which is touted as a sidechain to the XRP ledger, it doesn't mean that necessarily it's some sort of scam in and of itself. And I said, in fact, to the contrary, it's being launched by some of the most well-respected individuals and well-known individuals, including in the developer world, within the XRP community. So that would have just been like, that would just make my simple little Moon Lambeau brain explode. Now, as far as the individual in question that I highlighted a few days ago, Scott Chamberlain, the co-founder of Evernode, I don't know what's up with that guy. When I think back to that conversation with him, still to me, it's just red flags. I don't know what the hell that was. I honestly don't. I don't know if there's something, if there is a shady intent, or if he's just like that rude of a person, whatever it is. Either way, red flags, not normal behavior, and I stand by that. And maybe even if there is something shady going on, I'm not asserting there is, but maybe it has nothing to do with the Xahau network itself, because again, he'd be one of the developers building on top of that sidechain. But look, broadly speaking, here's what people have been wondering. Is this even good for XRP? Is it good for the XRP ledger? And I'm going to give you some perspective from Wietse Wind. And actually, the reason that I even came across this, because frankly, there's a very good chance I actually might have entirely missed this. But I came across this thanks to my fellow XRP YouTuber Crypto Eddie. And I'm going to share with you the specifics, but she wrote here, "Hello, Moon Lambeau. I listened to your video yesterday and came across this hooks list from Wietse Wind that I knew you would appreciate. Talk soon." And so thank you very much, Crypto Eddie. I do appreciate this because there's a really good chance I actually probably would have missed this. And I had been seeking out perspective from Wietse Wind. I had been checking stuff that he'd been posting, but I easily could have missed this particular one. It was in the middle of a thread here. And I had copied him on some conversations, including with Scott Chamberlain, and he didn't respond, but that's okay. He doesn't owe that to me or anything just because I copied him a couple times on some posts. That's perfectly fine. People are copying him on stuff all the time, and so again, he's under no obligation just to respond to some XRP-focused YouTuber. It's fine. But I do appreciate and value his perspective, so I did want to know what he thought, and I thought that everybody listening to my channel could benefit from this as well, because with this sidechain being created, a big part of the question, potentially to the negative from some people's minds is, well, if you're creating this sidechain, isn't it just going to sap off developer activity from the XRP ledger? Isn't that activity just going to go over there if this thing takes off? What does that mean for the price of XRP too? And those are things that I do want to talk about, because one of my earliest questions also, and I just wanted to hear what developers of the Xahau network would have to say. One of my questions was, how does, because again, it's being touted as a sidechain, so the premise is that this is this is something that's positive for XRP and the XRP ledger. So my question, one of my earliest questions was, how will Xahau network, which is a separate sidechain with its own developer activity, how will that increase developer activity on the XRP ledger itself? And I'll tell you this, as far as I can tell right now, the answer is it will not increase XRP ledger developer activity. And I also don't think that matters, and I'll explain why here. But first, let's go through. And let me say this too. I think that nobody just wanted to say that. I think that's the silly answer. It's that I asked, okay, how does this increase developer activity on the XRP ledger, having the separate sidechain? If the answer is it doesn't, which, as far as I can tell, is indeed the case, That's not a bad thing, and I just think nobody wanted to say that that's the case. It doesn't mean it's bad for XRP or the XRP ledger. In fact, I am convinced that should Xahau network get traction, I'm actually convinced that it would be good for XRP itself. And Weedsay Wind even notes that it would make XRP more scarce, and that certainly is true. Although I highlighted that fact in the first video I ever published where I was talking about Xahau, because burn to mint, that's one of the first things you learn about when you start reading into the white paper. So there's this thread. This is where it all stemmed from. What Crypto Eddie was sharing with me. It stemmed from a thread with my fellow XRP YouTuber Jungle Inc. And he was asking about the Hook sidechain, because the Hook sidechain, while not part of the main net on XRP Ledger, all that functionality is being created in a separate blockchain, the Xahau network, with its own separate cryptocurrency, XRP+. All of that functionality for smart contracts, that's where it's going. And that blockchain, although it's not live today, it should be, I think they're aiming to get it launched within the coming months anyway. So Jungle Inc. was asking about the Hook sidechain. And given that the answer here for what, how it pertains to the Hook sidechain, all the positives there is what they want to do with Xahau, I think it pretty well answers that. And then you just specifically cite Xahau network as well. And so Jungle Inc. said, is the Hook sidechain legit? Two heavyweights in XRP Ledger have confirmed this is the path forward for XRP development and only the start. David Schwartz at the Apex Developer Conference stated new features and upgrades will happen on adjacent layer 1s and sidechains. And then somebody named Khaled within our community responded to him and said, anyone can do anything they like on a clone sidechain, so what are they waiting for? Christmas? Bet it's some funding from Ripple. These crypto devs are worse than actors. And so I don't share that perspective in terms, I don't think that the devs here are doing anything wrong. The only thing, again, that's a red flag to me is the behavior from Scott Chamberlain. That's it. And that is bizarre. It's truly bizarre. And everybody could see that watching it. But setting that aside, I can't imagine that anything is being done with ill intent, or that there's bad actors or this or that. And so Jungle Link wrote back to him and said, they aren't waiting. It's happening. If Ripple was funding, they would be doing work on the main chain. And so that's spot on. There are developers like Weedsay Wind who want certain functionality that's not on the XRP ledger. And so the truth of the matter is, either you create a sidechain so that you can have that functionality, or you found a completely unrelated ecosystem, and then that activity would just go somewhere else, and then it definitely would not benefit XRP or the XRP ledger. But the fact that there will be activity occurring on the sidechain Xahau network once it's launched that won't occur on the XRP ledger, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay, because that activity couldn't occur on the XRP ledger anyway, because it doesn't have, the Hooks amendment isn't passed. There is no smart contract functionality. So any developer activity that happens on the sidechain, it wouldn't be on the XRP ledger anyway, right? So I don't see a negative there. And so the fact that developer activity is happening over there on the Xahau network, it's not bad. And of course, I don't see any reason that the XRP ledger with no functionality when it comes to smart contracts, I don't see how Xahau, of course, and this isn't a bad thing, it's just an observation. I don't see how it would ever increase developer activity on the XRP ledger, the fact that Xahau exists, nor should that be construed as a negative. But I asked the question because I just started researching this. I wanted to know what the hell the devs here building this thing have to say about that. And I still haven't seen any of them just say that, but I mean, it is what it is. Then Weedsay Wind responded to Jungle Link and said, it's better. The entire source code, intellectual property, everything needed to get it on mainnet one day, published open source a year ago. Thing is, we want it now. We need it now, not one day. The entire ecosystem benefits. No risk on mainnet. And so you can pause to think, because there are people who don't think that you should make this change. It's always a risk when you amend XRP ledger, whether it's great risk or little risk, almost no risk, whatever. There's always some sort of risk when you change the layer 1 code. I get that. And so what he's noting here is that if you just have the sidechain, there's no risk to mainnet. There's no risk to the XRP ledger itself. And fair enough argument. And then he says, still available for mainnet. New features and opportunities for the ecosystem. More things we can build to grow the ecosystem. No one loses anything. So let me pause. Not that I take issue with the things that he's asserting here, but unless I'm missing something, and if so, that's fine. Somebody just pointed out politely in the comment section below. My understanding is, in terms of actual adoption and utility, that would all still be on the separate blockchain. It would be on the Xahau network with the XRP plus token. So when we're talking about it growing the ecosystem, well, what ecosystem? If the Xahau network is part of the XRP ecosystem and the XRP ledger ecosystem, that's fine if you're going to say that, but let's make sure we're on the same page as far as what that means. Because the only real benefit that I see for XRP and the XRP ledger, and this is why I can understand why they doesn't want to piggyback off of all the popularity and success, because they're obviously as pro XRP as it gets. You know, there's already an existing community here. I get it. That's smart. That's not bad. There's no bad intent here. This is good. But let's just note here that where XRP would benefit, it's not with additional developer activity. And unless I'm wrong, and if I am wrong, because I don't pretend to be a know-it-all, somebody explain to me how I'm wrong. But I think it's just in terms of the scarcity of XRP. And then there would be this price equilibrium that I described in my very last video when I was talking about the Xahau network, where it truly, I firmly believe that to be the case. The argument that, you know, if there's a bunch of developer activity with XRP plus on the Xahau network, and then you can burn to mint from XRP, burn to mint from XRP ledger to Xahau. Yeah, you'd find a price equilibrium there. And I don't really want to spit that again in this video, but I did articulate why that does make sense, and I find that a compelling argument. I haven't seen a whole lot of people sufficiently, explain that, but it is true, and that's why I took some time in my last video where I was talking about this to go through why I actually believe. But that's the benefit. Like, that's pretty much the only benefit for XRP and the XRP ledger, but it is a good one. If you're an XRP holder, that's actually a good one. It makes XRP more scarce, and then it's used on a separate blockchain. Like, that's clearly not a negative. And then Weed Save One says, everyone can choose multiple networks. In unison, I said, that was a weird inflection. Everyone can choose multiple networks in unison. And then he says, XRP is not touched. Xahau adds value to the ecosystem and even makes XRP more scarce on mainnet if people take their network consumption to the sidechain for specific features. We can target some of the retail and enterprise-focused use cases that otherwise would have used another protocol/network. XRP Ledger mainnet can one day adopt hooks if it wants, based on facts. Production results on Xahau. Okay, and so, again, if you're an XRP holder, perhaps the thing that matters most to you out of all of this is the fact that he's citing here, and quite accurately, that this makes XRP more scarce. And again, this is something, before I even talked to Scott Chamberlain in my last video on the matter, in my very first video ever, I talked about what burn to mint is. And so it's very clear it makes XRP more scarce. That is, in and of itself, a positive. And then if you're wondering, if this is just going to put, more developer activity on the Xahau network, and that's negative for XRP and the XRP ledger, I already explained why. I just don't think that makes any sense, because you can't do the smart contract stuff on the XRP ledger anyway. So I personally don't think this matters. And then as far as getting the tokens, if you're not buying XRP Plus on like GateHub or whatever partner network there is, then you need to burn XRP in order to have it. So you will end up finding the price equilibrium that I was describing in the very last video. Because if it's cheaper to, purchase XRP than what the price of XRP Plus would be, what do you think people are going to do? They're going to buy XRP and then they're going to burn to mint. So it really is that simple. And then there was also, I think I had another one here. Oh yeah. So then he expanded a little bit further. He wrote, the past few days at Apex Developer Summit, it became very clear that everyone is loyal to mainnet. So are we. We're not competing here. We're expanding. And so folks, he's being honest there. I firmly believe that to be the case. He's one of the most well-known, respected developers in the XRP community for a reason here. And he is transparent. I do believe what he's saying. He wants this functionality. He's been pushing for it for the longest damn time. I've covered his perspective a number of times on my channel over a prolonged period of time. He wants the functionality. It's not there. And so given that he's made the determination he wants to build, he needs that type of functionality, it's either you create a sidechain, which will make XRP more scarce, or you just go to something else, another platform somebody else built. We can go over to ETH, right? Pick your platform. Well, I think this is better than that, don't you? Yeah, I'll take this. So again, and I think everybody understands this because I've been crystal clear in the videos where I've covered this. I've been nothing but positive towards Xahau and XRP Plus from the beginning. I just had questions, which are fair. It's fair to have questions. Want explanations. I understand the vast majority of what I needed to. And then other than the red flag from that one guy, I'm just like, I'm not seeing problems here. To me, it seems like a net plus. And then he also said, no one feels pressure to move over their XRP to Xahau, just whatever they need for gas on the network to pay for transaction fees. No one is forcing anyone to use Hook/Xahau. The browser extensions, wallets, some wallet, etc. Will support both networks. Many devs see or start to see the new opportunities, the things they can build with hooks. So there you go. To me, this is straightforward. Like, to me, this is a win for XRP and the XRP ledger. It's not going to help with developer activity so far as I can see, but I do firmly believe that the equilibrium concept makes sense. And so this isn't going to siphon off talent from XRP and the XRP ledger. In what world does that make sense? In fact, if you don't need smart contract functionality, it makes more sense to build on the XRP ledger because there's more adoption and there's more likelihood that you're going to have support there. There's an existing community. Like, why wouldn't you prefer that if it's available? But again, when it comes to smart contract stuff, you don't. So if I'm missing something, you guys tell me, but I'm all for this right now. Like, I'm not seeing a problem here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.